Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. I really appreciate you joining me today. And this first story is about a moped robbery gang that has been jailed for over 100 years. There is 8 members of this gang that have been convicted today. And gangs that use mopeds to commit robberies are a massive issue in London. They take advantage in the rise in the gig economy and a massive increase in deliveries. So there's loads of mopeds on the road and this makes it easier for them to blend in. And also the amount of traffic in London as well. It's easier to get through traffic if you're on a moped. And one of the faces in this lineup actually looked very familiar and it took me a minute to realise who it was. You may remember the story we did on the Arsenal players that 2 people had tried to rob of their watches. Jordan Northover was jailed for attempting to rob Mesut Ozil and Kolasinac back in 2019. That video went viral. We got over 500,000 views on that video. And it turns out he's actually involved in several other robberies as well that related to other robberies in the London area. They carried knives, machetes and firearms and terrorised wealthy North London neighbourhoods after a string of robberies between April 2019 and July 2020. They wore masks as they broke into luxury homes and ambushed people in their cars, demanding jewellery and money, often at knife point. One of the gang, Jordan Northover, 28 years old, had attempted to rob the 2 Arsenal stars with a knitting needle. They ended up fighting back and CCTV footage shows the moment the Bosnian defender Kolasinac, known as the Tank, jumped out of the passenger seat of Ozil's £165 4x4 and fought off Jordan Northover as he prodded him with a needle. He attempted to knock them off their bike before they ran off from the scene. Ozil, 32, who earns £350k a week, sped away down the wrong side of the road in Cholds Hill following the attack on the 25th of July, and he took refuge in a Turkish restaurant. Northover was previously handed a 6-year sentence for attempted robbery. The gang of 8 was sentenced at Harrow Crown Court on Tuesday following the campaign of violence and attacks. They were charged with a total of 20 offences. In one of the raids, 5 men armed with a knife smashed down the door of an 80-year-old woman's bedroom and demanded to know where her safe was. They smashed her wardrobes and forced the floor up on May the 19th. And she left when the horrified victims confessed she did not have a lockbox. On April the 10th last year, a driver was waiting in a car when a machete was put for the window and he ran from the car but was chased, threatened, and they made off with a Rolex. In June, a woman at home with her 2 children in Golders Green saw burglars force entry with a crowbar into their house. She tried to deter them by holding up a phone and saying that she was calling the police, and then she ran upstairs and the raiders stole the keys to her black Audi. The gang struck again the next day at St John's Wood, forcing open the victim's bedroom door and ordered him to hand over money and jewellery at knife point. But this victim had already lost belongings in a previous raid, so there wasn't nothing to steal. He was threatened with a gun before the gang fled as police arrived. 2 days later, on July the 16th, 4 members of the gang terrorised a couple when they forced their way into a home in Brondesbury Park through a bedroom window. The occupants awoke and found the masked men in their bedroom and were forced to open their safe, and they told them they'd go and see their daughter if they didn't comply. Detectives had them under observation, and on the 19th of July, 4 masked men carried out a burglary in Barnet Gate. The raiders set off an alarm and fled empty-handed in an Audi they had stolen in the previous Golders Green robbery. Just over 30 minutes later, detectives watching them in an unmarked car in Hampstead were astonished as the gang members approached a vehicle intending to rob them. The officers called in reinforcements and the stolen car made off with a police helicopter giving chase. 20 offences are believed to have been committed by various members of the gang in total, and Detective Sergeant Gary Taylor from the Flying Squad said the way the gang targeted their victims and used weapons during the crime spree was shocking and abhorrent. The impact these heinous crimes have on the victims cannot be underestimated, and the defendants wrongly thought they wouldn't be caught. However, the Flying Squad were able to find the robbers and bring them to justice after a surveillance operation. Patrick Delaney, 30, from Clarence Way, Camden, was sentenced to 16 years in prison for the robberies and attempt burglaries. Martin Delaney from Camden was sentenced to a total of 11 years for attempt robbery and burglary. Kieran Hewitt from West Hampstead was sentenced to 8 years in prison, and Andy Kiakanda from St John's Wood was sentenced to a total of 14 years and 4 years in prison. 4 other men involved in the crime spree have been found guilty. Cheyenne Cato from West Hampstead was jailed for 15 years. And Jordan Northover was jailed for 18 years. Ryan Lewes, 19, from Hampstead was sentenced to 9 years in prison. And Stephen Barton, 20, from Camden was sentenced to 9 years also. Ashley Smith, 31, was jailed for 6 years and was reduced to 6 on appeal for his part in the robbery of the footballers. So this gang was intent on making as much money as possible, and they didn't care about the risks that they took. And these sentences definitely go to show the risks that are associated to these sorts of crimes. So I hope them guys sort their lives out when they come out of prison and can do something more constructive and legal. In this other story from London, a man has been jailed for 11 years after 15 kilos of cocaine was discovered in his Locksmith van in Ilford. They valued it at £1.5 million. Alex Guest, 40 years old, from Ilford, was sentenced to 11 years and 3 months after he pled guilty at Snaresbrook Crown Court. He pled guilty to possession of Class A drugs with intent to supply and possession of criminal property for the offence that took place last year. Officers from the Metropolitan Crime Command, supported by ANPR interceptor units, stopped a van on the M11 southbound near the junction with the A406 as part of an intelligence-led operation into the supply of Class A drugs. Officers searched the van and found an elaborate hide. The hidden compartment was concealed within a partition wall of the van and was operated by a hydraulic arm, and this was behind locksmith cutting equipment used to disguise its presence. Within the hide, the police found a holder containing 15 kilos of cocaine worth £1.5 million. There was a number of mobile phones found inside the van also, and electronic scales and an EncroChat phone as well. The driver was arrested on suspicion of intent to supply, and detectives carried out a raid of his address and found £129,000 in cash. He was further arrested for possession of criminal property. During the interview, he gave no comment to all questions asked, and he was subsequently charged on the 21st of April last year. Guest was part of a network that was moving cocaine around the UK, and he used his legitimate locksmith business as a cover to do this. Really appreciate you joining me for this episode, and I'll be back again later today with some more news. Please don't forget to check out our previous EncroChat videos on the playlist available now. Peace.